My Lords, it's a pleasure to follow the noble prelate, the Bishop of Manchester. I also would like to give my sincere thanks to the noble Baroness Cox for her initiative and hard work in bringing this important bill before the House. I applaud her courage in addressing an issue on which most people find it expedient to remain silent out of fear of being seen as attacking the important freedom of religion. My Lords, I speak from the perspective of the Sikh religion. J.K. Rowling, in her recent BBC interview about her new book, The Casual Vacancy, which looks at the life and fortunes of a Sikh family, acknowledged her admiration for the Sikh faith, which from its very beginning gave Sikh women equal rights in all aspects of life. Unfortunately, my Lords, Sikhs do not always live up to the high ideals taught by Guru Nanak and his successors. The main reason for this is a male-dominated subcontinent culture which is shared in many other parts of the world. Understanding this negative culture is central to understanding the importance of the bill before us today. Aneurin Bevan, the founder of the Health Service, may have been a little over the top when he famously said that whenever he heard the word culture, he immediately thought of bacteria. He was talking about nasty practices being justified on the grounds of culture. He had a point. We all know that as well as the nasty sort of bacteria that can cause disease and infection, there are also good bacteria that help us keep healthy. It's the same with culture, that in its respect for family life and emphasis on responsible living benefits us all. But there is also a negative culture that supports, legitimizes and perpetuates evils such as male domination and discrimination against women. The problem for all our different faiths is that unthinking and discriminatory cultural attitudes attach themselves to religious beliefs and distort these beyond recognition, making it sometimes difficult for followers of our different faiths to distinguish between uplifting ethical teachings and dubious social practices based on the prejudices of the day. It is this negative culture, particularly in regard to women, that Guru Nanak both exposed and opposed. Unfortunately, negative culture, which over the centuries has given power and privilege to some at the expense of others, is difficult to eradicate, extremely difficult. And today on the Indian subcontinent and in many other parts of the world, the treatment of women often varies between discriminatory and barbaric. This is particularly true of the Muslim world, in which we have seen in the Arab Spring long oppressed communities are bravely trying to find and assert a forward-looking identity, looking to enlightened attitudes towards women and respect for other communities. Unfortunately, a powerful and strident minority have a totally different agenda of contempt for other communities and a total rejection of enlightened social norms. It was this desire to return to a muscular male-dominated past that led to the recent shooting in the head of a 14-year-old girl in Pakistan simply because she asked for education for girls. Such barbaric behavior is light years away from the teachings of the Quran on the need for compassion and concern for the oppressed. This same point was made by the noble Baroness Wasi on BBC television, talking about the same subject yesterday. This bill seeks to support those trying to carry this Quranic imperative of compassion into the 21st century behavior and practices. My lords, I have many Muslim friends, and as a founder member of the National Interfaith Network of the UK, have regular contact with people at all levels of Muslim society. They are both ashamed and stunned by extremist and bully boy behaviour. My lords, there is also a growing disquiet in both religious and secular society about an apparent widespread conspiracy of silence in addressing such issues out of a fear of offending cultural sensitivities. But silence simply encourages the bully boys and perpetuates injustice. As Edmund Burke reminded us, evil triumphs when good men do nothing. My lords, we need to remember that when Islam was founded, its teachings were far more enlightened than those of surrounding cultures. Sharia law was developed to translate those Islamic teachings into detailed guidance for everyday living. But society, my lords, is always changing, and what was acceptable hundreds of years ago, or even 20 or 30 years ago, may be considered oppressive today. As James Russell Lowell, the poet and social reformer, reminds us in a hymn, new occasions teach new duties, time makes ancient good uncouth, they must upward still and onward who would keep abreast with truth. Arbitration and mediation in resolving differences in religious communities is fine if carried out on the basis of equality between all parties. Today, laws or codes or social practices that seek to perpetuate discrimination against women in any society are no longer acceptable. It is for these reasons that I welcome and give my full support and that of my community to this bill. I am confident it will have the support of many people of all faiths, those in secular society, and I hope people from all political parties in a common quest for a fairer and more cohesive society.